afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You've also got to check out the podcast because of these folks right here. I have a podcast, and you've been asking. I just didn't know how to go about it. So anyway, Chuck and Marilyn Bailey made a connections with me. They were wanting me to have a podcast too. So you can find it down there, netnewsnetwork.net. So anyway, thank you. Any way we can be of service for you, we are happy to. I have two of my favorite folks right here, Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey. They're with Alabama Fair Tax, fairtax.org. And I'm just going to have to tell you, I don't know why the whole world is not going to fair tax. To me, it just makes sense.
I think we're moving closer and closer to people finally realizing they're going to have to do something like the fair tax, or we're not going to survive.
Yeah,
we have to have a sustainable system for funding the government, and the one we've got now is too upsy downsy.
It's a shipwreck, is what it is. Yeah. I'm looking for a collapse just any day if we don't hurry up and do something.
Yes.
Yes. It's hanging over our heads, and I keep thinking, I almost just wish it would just happen so we could get it over with and work our way up instead of looking at the abyss all the time.
To find out what it's going to be and do something about it.
Exactly.
Well, what's going to happen, do you think? I know and I've been waiting on this for, and now I'm from the real world. I own my own business, and I just know that if I spend more than I'm taking in, and I don't have some kind of accountability to what I'm spending, my business is going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. And there's no way around it, because if you're not making a profit and growing your business and hiring people and everything, well, then there's no economy being grown in around you.
Yeah, and the sad thing that's happening is the dollar has been the world currency since I think 1944, and that's going away, and that's a big thing for our country. The government was able to print $100 bills for 17 cents and purchase $100 worth of goods with them, and that's not going to happen anymore, unfortunately. Well, it was unfortunate for the rest of the world. We've really had an advantage that we've taken advantage of, and so I think now we're going to start paying for it.
Well, here's what my thoughts about this is: if you're not a true patriot, you don't love your country. If you're not looking out for your country, if your country is not number one, first of all, you just need to be deported into the country that you seem to be. But it doesn't make any sense to me. So it seems to me that there are some powers who don't want this to happen.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing it can be, because if it were up to you and I, this wouldn't be happening the way it's happening, and you know that.
Yeah.
The forces of the elite above us figured they got a better way of doing something, and they're trying to show it. And it's just, we're paying for it. They don't have to pay for it because they've got enough money to do whatever they want to, but we're the ones going to pay for it, not them.
Well, we just have to be prepared, and people need to just be prepared to have food available, because that's not going to be as easy to get. Have access to energy, and if we need to get back to fossil fuels, that the whole business with climate change has been a hoax, and it's been kind of a benign hoax up to now. But when they close the Keystone pipeline and cut off our energy independence, that is a real assault on our country. And that is, I mean, that's what an enemy does to you. It's not what, it's not what you should do to yourself. Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's being divided. The country's being divided, and we're being conquered from within.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Countries can just look at us and laugh and say, we're not having to do anything. You're doing it to your own self.
Yeah, I often said if I had the money, I would buy billboards all over the United States with just a bundle of sticks and one stick, and show how you can break one stick, but a bundle you can't. You've got to not be divided. You've got to be unified. And unfortunately, I was reading that they have two new cases. When you check what your race is on federal forms now, they've got two new ones. So we've got two new ways to be divided. It's just an abomination, really. And in fact, if you want to be colorblind, then why even ask what your race is? What
That's
difference
the
does
whole
it make?
thing. You're a racist doing this. I mean,
Uh-huh.
making this a point is being a racist.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and then another thing, I refuse to do business with a company who does this one simple thing. When they ask if you are a male or a female or non-binary, I'm not going to do business with you.
Or ask for your pronouns.
Were you born a male or a female? I'm just not going to play that little game. I'm going
Yeah.
to
No.
Yeah.
Bud Light is. I think they realized they've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that may be the turnaround, because it's affecting Joe's six pack, and you don't want to mess with Joe's six pack at
Yeah.
all.
And there are a lot more of us than there are of them.
Yeah.
And I don't wish ill on anyone. I just
Yeah.
I don't want them to wish ill on us. That's where the problem
I
is.
just don't want them to wish themselves upon us.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part.
They can exist and we can exist. We can all exist together, but we don't have to point out differences all the time.
Mhm.
Anyway, my 2 cents.
That's my 2 cents too. And I'm going to tell you what is really hurt is the little guy. It hasn't really hurt. It's going to hurt Budweiser. It'll hurt them. That you got to think about the distributors. It's killing them because they're going and they're trying to take their beer to bars and what have you. The bars are not accepting it because they have enough brains to know good old guy that drinks the Bud Light is the one who's not going to take it.
Exactly. And
I don't remember who was telling us, but they were saying that they were at a baseball game, and that the guys that were selling Bud Light at the game, they still had all of their Bud Light at the end of the game, and everybody else was buying all the other kinds of beers.
I'm hearing that all across the country.
That's kind of sad, but they're going to suffer for the stupidity of their management for doing that. And there was another case where a guy says, I work at this bank, and we have a bunch of guys, and we go to this one bar after work on Tuesdays or something like that. We used to have this thing, and when I was working, we had a staff meeting, but it was over at the bar drinking beer, And so these guys said, we have this meeting on Tuesday evenings, we'll say, and he says, I'm telling you, we have a bunch of guys, and we'd be going in there. We drop $400 buying stuff in that place, and what they do now is that they go into place and say, "Do you even sell Bud Light?" And if they say yeah, they just turn around and leave. They don't even ask them.
I'm hearing all around the country.
Yeah, and it's all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's my point. I think that Joe Sixpack has been hit with this thing that's going on, and it's probably going to be one of the things that helps turn all that around.
But what's even worse is now Bud Light is suffering for this, and it's a visible thing, which is, I think, a good thing that people see.
Yeah, like you're saying, the distributors, the salesmen, and women, those people get.
That wasn't where I was going to go with this, but the government is trying to get pension plans to be ESG, to purchase only stocks that are ESG, and whether it makes money or not. As long as they're ESG, they're okay. So pension plans depend on making money in order to fund their pensions. So if they are investing in things that don't make any money, then so much for the people who draw a pension.
You just made my point. Okay, so here's the point I've been trying to make. And this is it about money, or is it about power, or is it about something else? Because there was a day in time that a big company and a small company would not do particular things because they looked at that bottom line. They looked at, am I making a profit? That used to be a thing in business.
Yeah.
Profit still is with me, but you wanted to make a profit. But now the people don't care whether they're making a profit or not. What's that all about?
No, that's about slavery. I mean, that's if you're working without getting paid, then your work is free, and that's slavery. I mean, that's unless you're donating it on purpose. And I think people who are working for a living don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, and you want to give, but I'm not going to give to some organization that I don't believe in.
No, I believe in giving charity. I like being able to use discretion, which is not, that's another dirty word, is discretion. But I do when we give to charity, we do, but we always discriminate, and choose the ones that we feel are the ones that we approve of.
Well, and it's good to do research on charities as well. I know there was a television, and you would know who it is. There's a commercial that comes on, and they had the poor little dogs, and they were being starved to death and all that kind of stuff. I was about ready to go write a check for them, and I thought, I feel sorry for these dogs. And then I thought, wait a minute, I want to see what the CEO makes of this company. Because you go online and you can check out the money they are making.
That's true.
This clown makes over $1 million a year in his salary. Right. Then he has a board of directors, and all of them make a ton of money. Very little of that's going to these poor pets. And I told Phil, I said, first of all, let's just give to the local. It's Second Chance Animal Shelter out of Boaz, Alabama. You guys met them. We had our park when we had the Music in the Park event last year.
Right.
And so they were there. And I said, first of all, I'd rather do local anyway. And these people are struggling because they've got a heart for the animals, so they spend money they don't even have. So just do research when you're planning on doing a charity, folks. I mean, that's just do it anyway.
And it's real easy to do too. Just like you said, go and check and see who's making the money and go from there.
If you get a phone call, you can ask how much of their money actually goes to the charity. Apparently the good number is 20%, which I think is abominable. I want 100% to go to the charity, but if it's not, if you give 10% off the top to the administration, I can accept that. But 80% for administration, that's not acceptable. So
I don't think so either. And there was no country song that was out, and I forgot who did this song. It may have been Ray Stevens, and he said, if Jesus accepts 10%, well, then why can't the government accept 10%?
Yeah, really.
That's probably that sounds like Ray Stevens.
Yeah, I think it was Ray Stevens doing that. Guys, already half the show is up. We're going to have to go into a commercial break, and we will be right back in just a couple of minutes.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
We are back. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. Find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. You can also check out the podcast. Thanks to Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey, we have a podcast now. Made the connection for me. I definitely appreciate that. netnewsnetwork.net. You know, that's a lot of nets in there, you know.
It's easy to remember.
Yeah, three nets. There you go. So we got that going. But anyway, we appreciate everybody for listening and watching. You also find us on all the social medias. You know, unless I get kicked off of sometimes of Facebook and YouTube. But anyway, I wear it as a badge of honor. I've taken Mary Lynn Bailey with me there with Alabama Fair Tax. So what's happening? I want this to happen. I just pray for this every day. I think it'll save the country.
Well, it certainly would save us. we did our taxes Friday. It was Friday, and oh gosh, I was so I still haven't gotten over it, and we're not done. So there's no reason why we should have to spend that much time and effort to give the government money when we could do it so easily with the fair tax. Just whenever you buy something new or buy a service, you pay the tax. It's over with. It's done. You don't have to account for it. You don't have to keep a shoebox full of receipts unless you want to, and that's perfectly, that's fine. Another thing I noticed though, when we were filling out the form, the standard deduction for us is the same as the standard deduction for the fair tax
for a couple,
and it which means you pay no taxes up to that point with the prebate. So that's not a number we pulled out of the air. That was actually, it's based on Health and Human Services poverty level.
Well, I believe that it wasn't like that until the Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2017, which was influenced by the fair tax, because there was a lot of talk about the fair tax going into that bill, and so they said, well, we'll give them a little bit of what they want, and so we ended up with couples being able to deduct twice as much, rather than, remember, it used to be the first guy got so much and the second guy got half of that or something, but now it's practically the same. So
yeah. So, something that we're doing with other groups, and it would be really good to do it with you, Donna, is we have some books. Now, the fair tax book that was written in 2005 is no longer in print, but we buy up all of the used books that we can find, and we want to pass them out because they're a very good description of what the federal fair tax is. And also, you can, the state fair tax is based upon.
Sorry about that.
He's trying to get rid of me.
The book she's mumbling about here is this one here.
Right. We'd like to send one of those out to your guests. So if they have a good question, each time we're on, we could actually, you pick out a question that's the best one for the day, and we'll send a book to whoever it is that asks it.
We'll answer it on air here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because I think learning about the fair tax, I know what I like about it, but people, other people have different interests, and Chuck's interests are even different from mine. So if someone asks us a question about what interests them, we can answer that question, and perhaps then they can find out more about it too.
A lot of what I get is responses, and people talk about inheritance tax a lot, and then the rebate. That's always a question right there. So a lot of the questions I get are the same questions, just a lot of people are asking. But I think the most important thing is it's fair. So if you are illegal coming into the country, this is the response I'm getting. So you're illegal, you're going to be paying what I pay. It's not fair for me to pay a bunch of taxes and you're here illegally and you're not paying. And then another response has been to the prebate. People around here are finally getting this, the prebate. It's really not that difficult. It just sounds too good to be true.
Right.
And it seems as if it's bringing families together, which we don't see. I know when somebody's Rhonda Bonds, who does my taxes, by the way, only let a conservative handle your taxes for you, okay? Don't get anybody who's a flaming liberal because they're not going to be looking out for you at all. So she was telling me that, she said sometimes it's like, people get divorced and they're still living together, but get divorced because of the tax breaks.
Right. Well, that goes away with this.
Trying to separate even families.
That goes away under the fair tax because there's no longer any tax on inheritance. They have limits. They have caps on that now, but still, a lot of people it doesn't help. So,
well, a big family farm it is worth a lot of money. Now, those people who own those farms don't have a lot of money; they just have a lot of wealth in their farm. And so, if you're asked to pay a portion of that, you'll have to sell the farm to do it, and that's just not right.
They can buy tractors.
One of my sponsors, he's an attorney, and so I asked him this question once about that because he has a lot of folks in this area who come to him, just asking questions about inheritance tax. I mean, what do I do? What's the best way to do this? And he said the big cry is like one child, maybe there's 4 kids, and maybe the parents passed, and so you got 4 kids who are trying to figure out how am I going to do this to pay the least amount of taxes. Well, one maybe wants to buy it, but they don't want to buy it because they're really not going to make anything. I mean, it's just not a good.
It's not.
You're losing way too much money.
The IRS is a enforcement tool. It's for social engineering. It's also a weapon to use against people who are politically different from you, and it's an evil thing. It really is, and we want to do away with it. There's no reason not to. The fair tax is nonpartisan. We all pay taxes. It's what am I trying to say? It's fair, and it just keeps giving. It has so many gifts that it gives. And one thing I think I may have mentioned this to you. It was kind of an epiphany for me when East Palestine was destroyed basically by that train wreck, and FEMA said, "Well, we don't have any." Cat in this fight, and I thought that's what FEMA is supposed to be for, is to help people recover from that kind of tragedy. But with the fair tax, the state actually collects the tax. So if the federal government says, "Well, we're not going to help you out," well, the state can say, "Okay, well, we'll just take that money out of the money that we're sending to the federal government and handle that." And that really reinforces states' rights, which have been eaten into, almost ever since the Constitution was written and the Bill of Rights was passed. But anyway,
I have a question about taxes and about the way things are. Fair tax, would that kind of keep our politicians' noses a little more to the grindstone,
Yeah,
where they're
because
not able to blow money and spend money like they're doing right now.
yeah, they would be less susceptible to lobbyists coming in trying to get taxes changed because there'd be no way to do that
Well,
under this system.
another thing too is that right now politicians and there are some good ones, and I will admit that there are also yeah, but there are some really bad ones. But the thing is that when they change tax law, they get money from both sides, because you get one side that says, well, we want you to do this special thing for us with the tax code, and the other says, well, we really don't want you to. Here's some money, and that pays for their campaigns.
There's a lot of this, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours.
Exactly.
Thing going on there.
Right.
Yeah. But let me mention one other thing too that I hadn't really thought of that much, but we are asked often about what if at the federal level right now, and it has been for as long as I've known about the fair tax, it's been 23% that you pay. It's an inclusive tax included in the cost of whatever you buy. But when you that 23%, now where am I going with it? People would say, what about the rich? I mean, what everybody's paying the same amount. Well, yes, everyone pays. It's basically a flat tax on consumption, but the rich tend to buy more that is new and purchase more services. So they're going to pay more. And then we've been asked, well, what if they decide to raise the tax? And it occurred to me, well, if you look at it at the sales tax level in the states, if you're paying 7%, 9%, or whatever sales tax, if they came along and said, well, we want to raise it to 10%, you'd notice it, right? Well, if this 23% is raised, people would notice it. If it goes down, politicians could campaign on saying, well, I want to reduce that 23%. So I think it just gives in so many ways.
I think so too. Less than a minute in this segment. What would you guys like to say before we go?
I want to just add to that. We should be talking about the tax burden, not the tax rate. And what I mean by that is that that's the most important thing, because the fair tax lowers the tax burden on over 95% of the people if they take the prebate, because what the prebate does is it untaxes you below the poverty level. You don't start paying any taxes until you get above the poverty level. And that means that even at 23%, a single person will have to spend upwards to $1.5 million to $2 million before they're actually hitting the 23%. Up until that point, it's just a graduated tax up to 23%. And that's the same for everybody.
And for a single person, it's zero up to $14,000 spent. So
that's,
yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't be for this program.
Yeah.
Well, I'm for it. That's all I can say. Guys, we're going to have to call it a day. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. It's always a delight. It's always so much fun, so informative. So you guys heard them. They're going to be giving away some books. So you need to get some questions out this way to me.
Make
okay?
Them good.
Yeah, just get a name and address.
Absolutely. So we're going to have a drawing. Is that the way we're going to do this? And then just
we could do that, or we could just say which is the best. You can pick which is the best question of the week, and we'll give it.
Ask us, we'll give an answer, and then
we'll send a book.
That sounds good. That sounds really good. Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Chuck and Mary Lynn. And again, you can find us on television, channel 182, Charter Communications, Abundant Television, channel Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and then also the podcast. And we're so glad to be with you today. And guys, thank you again so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you, Dana. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.